We're back for our daily college basketball best bets here on Wednesday, November 19th. We've got a bunch of big-time basketball games yet again today. The main ones, Arizona versus Yukon, and then Illinois versus Alabama. I got nothing for Illinois, Alabama. Okay, we're going to talk about Arizona and Yukon in just a few moments. The Illinois game, I'd rather stay away. Yesterday, a 3-2 day, that could have easily just been 5-0. I mean, we got two teams yesterday that were covering the entire game until the final minute and a half, and that would, of course, be the Kansas Jayhawks and the Sacramento State Hornets. Sac State decided to not score the entire game. UCLA starts 4 bench players because they want defense. So they benched Bilodeau, they benched Donovan Dent, and somehow it worked. Sac didn't score for the first 7 minutes of the basketball game, and yet they still almost covered because UCLA was trying to not cover at the end of the basketball game, it felt like. Yet, the first time UCLA starts to cover is at the end of the basketball game, and they do cover the 28.5 against Sacramento State. And then Kansas, I mean, they had it until they didn't. Duke went on their 8-0 run at the end of the game and iced the spread. It is what it is. 3-2 day, though, as a whole. We had some easy ones early in the day with Iona and with UNC Wilmington, and then how about Michigan State making it look really easy on the first game of the day yesterday against Kentucky. So anyways, folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Later today, we're going to have our NBA best bets as well, so make sure to join us for that. Also on the channel, our college football predictions were posted a couple days ago. That is over 4 hours of college football predictions, so you're not going to want to miss that. Also, our NFL predictions were posted yesterday, so make sure to go check that video out, along with our UFC Fight Night Qatar predictions with Arman Sarukian and Dan Hooker in the main event for the UFC's first ever card from Doha, Qatar. Okay, on to the first of our 5 best bets today, kicking things off with the aforementioned Yukon Huskies taking on the Arizona Wildcats. Give me the Wildcats plus 5.5. I understand the game's in Connecticut. I think Arizona can play it tight. I think so. I think this is going to be a very closely contested game. Who wins it? Probably Yukon. But I think the way Arizona played at Los Angeles against UCLA, I can't say at UCLA because they played in Inglewood, but in Inglewood against UCLA, the way that they played Florida at the beginning of the season, they are tested in huge games already this season. That's all Arizona's done so far. And they still have a couple more. I mean, they got to play Auburn, Bama in December. I mean, Arizona has built this schedule around nothing but difficult games. And sure, both of their tough games so far have been neutral sites against Florida. Technically, yes, the UCLA game was a neutral site, but really they were going to Los Angeles, and they've passed those tests. I mean, whenever you feel like this team's out of a game, or, when UCLA was winning late, big shot after big shot. I mean, how about Anthony Del Orso in that game, right? I mean, it looked like Arizona was done. They were down by 5-ish points, 4 or 5 points with 3 minutes to go, and Del Orso continues to hit shot after shot and just digs them out of holes. They are an extremely talented team, and they have surprised me a lot this season, I'll be honest with you. I thought Arizona was good going into the year. I didn't think they were this good. And yes, we are talking about top 4 in the country. Good. They've earned every single bit of that number 4 ranking so far this season. Now they're going on the road to play Connecticut, and the Yukon Huskies have looked really good so far as well. They've only been tested once though, right? Their 3 previous games prior to the last one was New Haven, Division I school, UMass Lowell, and Columbia. Good wins, you blow out all of them. That doesn't mean anything. The BYU win is the biggest one, obviously, beating AJ Dybonsta and the Brigham Young Cougars. Winning a very close game, though. Yukon wins it by 2 points. Don't get me wrong. Again, it is a very talent-loaded squad. But after a dominant first half in Boston, they just allow Dybonsta and BYU to continue to get back into that game. And I like BYU a lot. I mean, there's some really good players. Again, AJ, obviously, Richie Saunders. There are some really good players on Brigham Young this season. They have a very good chance to potentially win the Big 12. I get it. There are good teams in the Big 12 like Arizona, and this is my thing. I do believe Arizona is better than Yukon. And sure, better than BYU. Sure, BYU played Yukon at a neutral site, but ultimately, Brigham Young goes all the way up to Massachusetts. I get it, that's not technically Connecticut, but that is way more of a home game for Yukon than it is Brigham Young. And so sure, Arizona is going to campus, I understand, might be more of a rowdy crowd over in, where is Yukon? Storrs, Connecticut, I think, is it? Yeah, Storrs, Connecticut. I think they're going to be able to play a close game, man. I look at this Arizona team, and I've watched this Arizona team so far this season. Whenever you don't think they're going to be in a game, they are absolutely still in it. And they are, again, just loaded with talent. Koa Pete, one of the best young players in college basketball, obviously, right now. Pete's been great so far for them this season. How about, again, Del Orso, who is a senior? He's been amazing. Again, Pete's still a true freshman. Also, Jaden Bradley has been absolutely massive. Obviously, this is an Arizona team that returned most of their guys from last season, returned most of their underclassmen, at least their notable underclassmen, graduated, obviously, Caleb Love, and then brought in a bunch of high school products. I mean, how can we forget? They brought in Bryce James. I'm joking. Bryce James obviously redshirting this season, but they are still loaded with talent. They have a bunch of returning players, along with, again, guys like Koa Pete, who has made an absolute impact so far this season. Again, Del Orso's been massive. How about Braden Burries as well, who is a freshman as well? They've got guys, man. I really like this Arizona squad. And don't get me wrong, Yukon's loaded with talent too. I mean, again, the Huskies, hopefully, they're going back to Hawaii, aren't they, this year? I'm fairly certain they are going back to Hawaii next week. Why would they do that? Why did Hurley sign up? Oh, are they going to Hawaii? Are they going to, never mind. I don't know. I could have sworn someone said they're going back to Hawaii. Like, I remember hearing that on a broadcast once. Maybe they're not. Okay, I don't know. Because I know the Illinois game I thought was in Hawaii. It's in MSG next week. So I don't know. Maybe they're not going to Hawaii. Regardless, that's what ruined their season last year. I know, again, they kind of recovered, but, losing 3 straight games over Thanksgiving break in Hawaii was just, horrible for this team. And I know, again, they kind of figured it out, but obviously they were a second-round exit in the NCAA tournament last season, sure, against Florida. But regardless, they've got so much talent. Alex Caravan, when he needs to be, is one of the elite players, obviously, in college basketball. Solo Ball's really good as well. You bring in some, obviously, transfers as well. But the victory over Brigham Young is really good, 86-84. Yes, again, BYU makes a comeback in the second half, but Yukon finds a way to, I guess, I just hold on, essentially. There are good players on this Huskies team, and I get it, the game is in Connecticut. I'm taking Arizona here, though. I'm going to take the Wildcats. To me, again, 2 evenly matched squads. I would actually say, and I will say, Arizona is the better team. I think Arizona's better than Yukon. Just because, though, the game is in Connecticut, obviously that's why Yukon is favored. Even with that, though, I'm going to go with Arizona, plus 5.5. It's not like we're, picking a money line here. We're not picking an even money game. We still get 5 points here. Yukon may win just because the game's in Connecticut, but I mean, if this game was in Tucson, Arizona wins. If it's at a neutral site, I pick Arizona. Just because the game's up in the Northeast and in Connecticut, that's why they're getting 5.5 points. Regardless, I still think the game is relatively close. So I'm going to go with the Arizona Wildcats to go on the road and cover 5.5 points against the Yukon Huskies. Again, don't care if Hurley and the guys win. We just need Arizona to play it tight, and I've seen it already this season. They've come out of these big games before, Florida, UCLA. I think they're going to do it tonight against Yukon, plus 5.5 for the Wildcats. Next up, we move on to our first moneyline pick of the day, and we move to a banger over in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I mean, I don't know. You could watch Arizona Yukon, or you could watch Tennessee Tech versus SC Upstate. I don't know. Give me South Carolina Upstate. Give me the Spartans. A little surprised by this line. I'll just be honest with you. Very surprised by this line. USC Upstate or SC Upstate, however you want to call them, they are minus 140 favorites at home against Tennessee Tech. I feel like this should be about minus 180, so I'm a little concerned because, am I missing something here? But I really don't think I am. SC Upstate's been pretty good this season, man. They have. And I get it, some of their victories are just against, D2 schools, but look at their losses and look at their wins too. I know, again, they have 2 victories over Division II programs and Bob Jones and I believe, Southern Virginia. They went to Fresno and won, which I get it. The Bulldogs might not be the best team this season, but hey, Fresno State did us right a couple days ago, obviously, right? We took them to beat Utah Valley, and they didn't. How about Fresno State last night, winning a game that I didn't obviously cover yesterday, but I didn't even think they were going to beat SF Austin. SF Austin's been good this season, or decent, and Fresno beat them. Beat them by 2 points at the Save Mart Center. So Fresno don't look now as a 4-2 team. They have 2 losses to UCSD, which they were supposed to lose to because we picked it, and then South Carolina Upstate, which we didn't pick. But that's the game where I got to see, okay, wait, South Carolina Upstate's actually pretty good. At the time when I picked Fresno to cover against SC Upstate, we looked at the Baptist game that USC Upstate played, and we're like, not moved at all. I didn't know Baptist was going to be this good this season. Cal Baptist so far is a 4-0 team, and that's one of South Carolina Upstate's losses. Baptist went and played the cesspool and beat him by 23 points. They beat Irvine this season. So the Lancers are playing really good basketball. They are owning the city that houses the cesspool known as UC Riverside. So good on the Cal Baptist Lancers. South Carolina Upstate's other loss is UNC Wilmington. Yeah, you know how good the Seahawks are. The Seahawks yesterday beat East Carolina by 25 points. They absolutely dominated. I'm telling you, best team in the CAA. They're going to repeat in the CAA this season, and going to Wilmington is so difficult to do. SC Upstate goes to Wilmington, and they lose, but again, no shame in that. You know how highly I think of the UNC Wilmington Seahawks. So it's a team so far that has gone on the road, cross-country, and beaten Fresno. They've beaten 2 D2 schools, whatever, and they lost to 2 really good teams on the road. Carmani Gregory currently leading the scoring for the Spartans, averaging 15.5 points per game. And then Carmelo Adkins as well is averaging 15 points. Adkins, second-year man from Lubbock, Texas. For Carmani Gregory, he's a junior who's playing his second season at SC Upstate as well. They're playing really good basketball right now. And they will be hosting Tennessee Tech, who I think is absolutely horrible. I don't think Tennessee Tech's very good. From the limited action I've seen this year at the Golden Eagles, not impressed at all. They just hosted West Georgia in their last game, and they lost at home to West Georgia. And sure, West Georgia's beaten the Citadel, but I mean, this is not a very good West Georgia Wolves team, a team that I don't expect to be too highly rated in the ASUN this season. And Tennessee Tech hosted them and lost the game at home. Two other losses this year are at WKU. They lost. They got beat by double digits against the Hilltoppers, and they went to Charlotte and lost by 5 points to the 49ers. Two victories are against two either D2 or even lower schools. I don't know. Virginia, Lynchburg, and Berea. Never heard of ya, but it is what it is. Again, the OVC is not some juggernaut of a conference, okay? And Tennessee Tech obviously is not one of the elite squads in the OVC. There are some decent schools in the Ohio Valley. I would not consider Tennessee Tech one of those schools. They were a 500 team last year in the OVC, and they play in front of exactly like 500 people. But that's besides the point. They're on the road tonight. Now, the Golden Eagles are led by Makai Cameron and Jawan Nichols. Cameron, senior guard out of Atlanta, used to play at Northern Colorado, but now here at Tennessee Tech. He was primarily he was a starter last season, didn't play many games, only played 7 games, averaged 8 points. He's averaging 13 now. He has started and played every single game this year for the Golden Eagles. Other star player again in Jawan Nichols, junior out of Scranton, Pennsylvania. I don't know why I did an accent for that. I wasn't even trying to. Wow, it just slipped out. Anyways, Jawan Nichols has only started 1 game this season, averaging 11.5 points primarily off the bench. We shall see. Again, pretty much just an inside scorer, though, not going to shoot at all. Again, just a guy who's, an interior presence, obviously. But that's my thing as well with Tennessee Tech. I don't know really who's a good scorer on this team. I mean, I guess you can say Makai Cameron is. From what I've seen, Danny Pounds is not bad. Pounds had a bunch of points in their last game against West Georgia. He actually led them in scoring. This is a player who came from ODU and was just a bench player for Old Dominion, obviously. Again, portal and, found his spot somewhere else. Good on him. Found a spot at Tennessee Tech, and he's primarily starting for this basketball team, but I don't really like anything Tennessee Tech's got going on except for their color scheme. I absolutely love the Tennessee Tech's color scheme, and I love their logo, okay? That doesn't really apply here, obviously, to a pick, but I just want to put that out there. I think the Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles logo is an absolute masterpiece, okay? I don't know if there are better logos in college sports than this. The purple and gold, that might be a little bit Lakers bias, but the purple and gold with the eagle, I don't know, man. If I created a high school, don't take this the wrong way. If I created a high school and say I made my own private high school and I was trying to push sports, I would steal the Tennessee Tech logo. How high schools will every school you look has the Patriots logo and the Cardinals logo. I would steal the Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles logo. My middle school, by the way, stole the Trenton Thunder Yankees minor league logo. I just steal Tennessee Tech. I don't know why I went on that tangent. Regardless, though, I'm going to take USC Upstate here. I think that the Bulldogs win this basketball game. Carmani Gregory and Carmelo Adkins have been very good this season for this team, and they're at home as well. I think they're way better than Tennessee Tech. Take Tennessee Tech on the road. I don't think they're very good. South Carolina Upstate is yet to beat a D1 school at home. That's going to happen tonight. Minus 140 for USC Upstate. I feel very confident about this play. I do not think that the Golden Eagles are good at all. So give me the the Spartans, excuse me. Give me the Spartans at home, minus 140. Give me USC Upstate. Next up, we go to our third best bet of the video. Let's go to Milwaukee, Wisconsin for the Marquette Golden Eagles hosting the Dayton Flyers. I'm going Marquette here. This game's actually on True TV, obviously, from the Bucks Arena. I'm going with Marquette here. I think it's a fairly easy one. Marquette has lost 2 games this season, both of which, though, to Big Ten schools, to Indiana and Maryland. And sure, you could say, well, it team's not proven. They haven't beaten a good squad yet. That is fair. It's going to happen tonight against Dayton. Here's the thing. I don't know how good Dayton really is. Dayton went on the road and lost to Cincinnati, and that's really our big launching point from this. I get it again. The Bearcats might not be too bad this season. We'll see again what run they kind of make this year. Anyways, though, Dayton goes on the road to Cincinnati, in-state matchup, obviously, and they get beat down fairly well. I mean, the game's, it's throughout that game's entirety, Cincinnati's pretty much just always in control, so they easily win it. And then Cincinnati's last game, they barely beat up a SWAC school as Bethune-Cookman. I get it, Bethune-Cookman plays relatively decent basketball, but if you're struggling to put away a Bethune-Cookman team and only beat them by single digits, I can't treat you seriously at all. I really can't. And we know what Shaka Smart and Marquette are going to be. I know so far it has not turned out to be the best of results for them this year, but just wait until they get into Big East play and they start beating down the bottom of the barrel Big East squads. Of course, I'm talking about I'm talking about the DePauls of the world. I'm talking about the Providence Friars, and the Providence is not playing that bad this season, but I mean, just wait till we get into Big East play. I'm talking, of course, about Seton Hall. Like, Marquette's going to be fine. They'll be a tournament team, I think. And, Marquette's a weird squad because they really don't use the transfer portal. I mean, I guess that's just the philosophy. I don't know. Again, I can't confirm this, but I don't know if Shaka Smart just takes a Dabo Sweeney approach here and just says, I don't use the transfer portal. We just, get guys to buy in, and who would want to transfer out of Marquette? And that's a fair assessment if it's the case. And obviously you're going to get recruits coming in every single season to play for you if you are a program like the Golden Eagles. But so far, again, they've been tested twice and they've lost. Went to Chicago and played Indiana and lost that basketball game because the Hoosiers are undefeated. And then losing to Maryland at home is a little disappointing. Obviously, a different Maryland team. Obviously, Derek Queen now with the New Orleans Pelicans in the NBA. Marquette loses. It's a competitive game in the first half. Maryland just pulls away, though, in the second. I think Marquette should be fine here. I don't think Dayton's nowhere close to the level of an Indiana, and then I guess a Maryland, too. The Flyers have played one basketball game against a half-decent team this season, and they lost and didn't do all that well. And look at some of their wins. They barely got by Bethune-Cookman. They played UMBC, the Retrievers, and they beat UMBC by 6 points. Guys, UMBC had a chance. If I'm not mistaken, they missed a go-ahead bucket at the end of that game, or a game-tying bucket with 20 seconds to go. I can't treat you seriously if you're going life and death with the UMBC Retrievers. I respect UMBC, obviously, for what they did I guess that's 6 years ago now in the NCAA tournament. But, come on now. You were a 25.5-point favorite, and you won the game by 6 points. And really, you're up by 2 until UMBC had to start fouling because they couldn't, again, tie the game with 20 seconds left to go. So, I'm not impressed with Dayton so far this season. The Flyers are currently led by Javon Bennett. It's Javon Bennett and Emile Letang, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He's a French player. Regardless, Javon Bennett's the best player on this team. He's 5'10", undersized point guard, but he can score. Played his freshman year at Merrimack and has been at Dayton ever since. Was one of their primary scorers last season. Wasn't the primary scorer for Dayton. So far this year, he's taken over as the number one guy, averaging 18 points per game. And then there is Emile Letang, I believe that's how you pronounce it, from Bastia, France. Averaging 15 points per game. Letang was a starter at the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken, and then he came off the bench early in the season for Dayton. He's now officially in the starting lineup and putting up big numbers for the Flyers. And then there's also Deshane Montgomery, who's averaging 14 points per game so far this season, junior out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Started at Mount St. Mary's, was a bench player last year for Georgia, and now is here at Dayton, so 3 schools in 3 years, but that's college basketball, isn't it? Anyways, I think Marquette's the better squad. Again, a team that is, the Shaka Smart gets, turnover from every single season. Chase Ross has been the leading scorer so far, averaging 21 points per game. He's been massive. Again, Marquette has struggled some to replace it. And a team like this, too, who doesn't fish in the portal and doesn't, lose guys in the portal either, really. They're building a program the old school way. You got guys here for 4 or 5 seasons. You're recruiting guys out of high school, and, you get roster turnover. So there are, we always say, too, for random squads, and might be a bad reference here, but here I'll use Santa Clara University, for example. We've said, Santa Clara needs to replace Christoph Tilley, who obviously left Santa Clara, who's their elite center last season. So how do they replace Tilley, with the guys they have now? A little bit of a different circumstance for Santa Clara, though, right? Santa Clara lost a lot of guys and lost 6-7 guys. I didn't actually mean to do that, but legitimately lost 6 or 7 guys to the portal, and they brought in 6 or 7 guys themselves now. Marquette, you just lose guys to the NBA draft, and now you actually have guys who played with Cam Jones and played with David Joplin who are needing to fill the role now, and Stevie Mitchell too, the top 3 leading scorers. Now you need guys to fill in those roles, and obviously Chase Ross has been that guy so far this season. Ross was actually the 4th leading scorer last year behind Jones, Joplin, and Mitchell. And now, so far this season, he's been averaging 21 points. Who was their 5th leading scorer last year? It was their big, Ben Gold. Gold is now their 2nd leading scorer, averaging 11 points and 4 rebounds per game. So that's just what Marquette does. Again, they build players, they develop players, and they've built a program. They should be able to beat down on Dayton here. Games in Milwaukee. The Flyers have not been the best so far this season. I know, again, Marquette has not really established themselves yet this year against a good program. I'm talking Indiana. I'm talking Maryland. This should be that game. So I'm going to go Merrimack. I'm going to go Marquette at home, -5.5 against Dayton. I think it should be an easy one for Shaka Smart and the Golden Eagles. We move on now to our 4th best bet of the video, and we go to Moraga, California, for the St. Mary's Gales and the Arkansas State Red Wolves. Normally, when I get slates like this, I don't love playing the -19.5, right? We had to at the beginning of the season for the most part because there weren't many, big power games, and we aren't getting games like we are now. Hell, I just talked about with Dayton obviously taking on Marquette and Milwaukee. By the way, I will say I was very close to taking USF today plus 4.5 in Stillwater. I didn't take it, but I will say that now. Anyways, I don't love always going to lines like this because, to cover a 19.5 point spread, a lot of things need to go your way, right? And we saw yesterday with the UCLA game, right? Sac State covered 28.5 for legitimately 37.5 minutes, and in the final 2.5 minutes of the game, UCLA finally breaks through, and Sac State could not hit a free throw to save their lives. Mikey Williams, why did you go 2 for 13 from the field, and you picked up a flagrant while you're at it as well? Luckily, Donovan Dent missed both of those, but they got a rebound and a 3. Way to go, Mikey Williams. Anyways, though, I don't normally love doing this, but I do here, and here's why. St. Mary's is the best defensive team in all of college basketball. And I am pretty adamant about that. I was adamant about that last season, and that's just how the Gales play. They are still the best defensive team in college basketball, okay? There are some guys they lost, obviously, last year, which made them so good. And I really liked St. Mary's last season. I had them going fairly far in the tournament. I know they lost to Alabama in the second round. It is what it is. But they had players, man. Augustus Marcelonis was great. I believe he's in the G League now. Mitchell Saxon was really good as their 5. He doesn't play basketball anymore, I don't think, right? Markoskas is still around, so we'll get to him in a second. And Mikey Lewis is still back, though. Or still around. So no Saxon and Marcelonis. Marcelonis was the guy last year, obviously, for the Gales. But I'm telling you, Morauskas and Mikey Lewis, yeah. Mikey Lewis last season was the 5th starter on that team, or he came off the bench, but he played the clutch minutes, and sometimes he'd provide them a boost off the bench, and then he'd play again at the end of the basketball game. Mikey Lewis was always an explosion waiting to happen. Like some games he would, this is out because if you haven't watched St. Mary's, they have long scoring droughts because that's just what they are. They're built on, having the best defensive team out there. That's like what UCLA wants to do right now, but obviously, has struggled to accomplish. They want to put the best defensive team out there, and they really, scoring secondary because, okay, if you only score 50 points on us, we should be able to score at least 52 or 51 in a 20-minute game, right? So, and they, some of their guys take a lot of threes, and they still do, honestly. So eventually we're just going to get you. Well, Mikey Lewis was that big offensive spark plug off the bench, and now he's starting every single game, and he's been absolutely great. So they're starting right now. It's Mikey Lewis and Morauskas are the 2 main returning starters from last season. They're starting Kevin Gadd, who's out there for only defensive reasons. He was on the team last year. He doesn't score at all, but he's just there to play defense. They replaced Saxon with Andrew McKeever. McKeever, a sophomore from Livermore, California. He was at St. Mary's last year, didn't play much, but he again just does the Saxon role. And then Joshua Dent is one of their other players. He's a 2 guard for this team. He shoots quite a bit. Not the best percentage-wise shooter, but he's gonna, he will let it go. Just a 3-and-D player for the most part. He's averaging 9 points per game. But the 2 guys to watch, obviously, are Morauskas and Mikey Lewis. Mikey Lewis has been on fire so far this season. He's averaging 22 points per game. But again, if you haven't watched a St. Mary's basketball game, they are a slow-paced team, but they grind you out, and you just don't score against them. Don't believe me? Look at their scores so far this season. Last game they play in Moraga, especially in Moraga, they are so tough to beat. They beat North Texas 80-49. They beat Ohio 90-60. That's the thing. They're scoring this year now. That's a lot to do with Mikey Lewis. And Morauskas too, But Mikey Lewis is averaging 22 points. He averaged 8 points a game last season. Morauskas is averaging 17 now. He averaged 12 last season. Yeah, this team's getting a lot better. And they lost 2 really good players. Chattanooga, who won the NIT last season, they go into Moraga and lose by 21 points. Yeah, that's a good basketball team. St. Thomas, Minnesota, the Tommies might be the best team right now in the Summit League. Might win the Summit League. Yeah, they lost to Wazoo. I don't know if they're the best team right now in the Summit. Maybe NDSU. I don't know. We'll see. Summit League's weird. Regardless, the Tommies walk into St. Mary's, and they lose 84-58. They were 13.5-point underdogs in that game, and yeah, St. Mary's put on them. Beat them by 26 points. And here's the thing, guys. Not to jump on Arkansas State. I don't think Arkansas State is as good as St. Thomas. I don't think they're as good as Chattanooga. Are they better than Chattanooga? They did beat Ohio earlier this season. Barely. Arkansas State beat Ohio by 4 points in a row. That's a great victory. It definitely is. St. Mary's beat Ohio by 30 points. I'm right. I mean, the Red Wolves led by Chandler Jackson and Joey Shama, I believe you say his name. Say his name, Shama, Alex Pedetta Shama. Shama averaged 20 points in their first 2 games. Hasn't played since with injury, if I'm not mistaken. Played the Ohio game, played the Stephen F. Austin game. Has not played since. So, again, Joey Shama, the 5'11 guard from Los Angeles, probably not playing tonight from what I'm seeing. There's been no updates, so I'm assuming he's not playing. Again, I don't know, not many news sources are reporting on Arkansas State Red Wolves basketball, though, in all fairness, so we shall see. There's just no way of knowing. Chandler Jackson, averaging 14.5 points per game. Chandler Jackson's a very weird case. He put up 21 points in the Ohio game. He put up 2 in the Stephen F. Austin game, 33 against Missouri State, and then scored 2 in their last game. So, again, his point totals are 21, 2, 3, and 2. What are we doing? Arkansas State's last victory is over the Christian Brothers. I've never heard of that school. Okay. I look up Christian Brothers University on Google and I can't find anything. I find a high school and a brandy brand. What? I don't know. So Arkansas State's playing like made up universities now too. They're a 3-1 team. They barely got by Ohio, barely got by Missouri State, and they've scored quite a bit. Same time, they give up a lot of points. So here's the thing. You're not going to score against the St. Mary's team, and St. Mary's is more than capable of scoring on you. So I'm going to go here with the Gales quite easily. I think the Gales dominate this basketball game all day long. All day long. They actually score now. I think they're going to put up about 80. I don't think Arkansas State's going to touch 60. I'm so serious. That's just how they play defensively. It's going to be St. Mary's. I'm telling you, the year Mikey Lewis is about to have is insane, along with Morauskas. They're a very good basketball team. Watch out for the Gales this season. They might be the best team in the West Coast. Just saying. Might be the best team in the West Coast. I know it's always Zaga every year. St. Mary's is their kryptonite. Believe you me. How about Loyola Marymount, by the way? What a win the other night. On the road, which, by the way, given follow the best bet, you got LMU on the road at UCSB the other night. Anyways, final best bet of the video. Let's go to Ogden, Utah for Weber State and the Campbell Fighting Camels. I was talking earlier about how much I loved the Tennessee Tech logo. You know what? Maybe if I started a school, I would use the Campbell Fighting Camels logo. That's a masterpiece, man. Anyways, I'm taking Weber State at home. Now, Campbell was a confusing team last year. They'd have runs last season in the CAA. Again, the CAA is cinema. But they'd have runs in the CAA where they looked really good and then just really bad. I don't know. They were a really odd team. Because I remember Campbell last year went on a run where they won like 8 consecutive games. And they closed the year losing 8 in a row. They got eliminated in the first round of the CAA tournament to the Delaware Blue Hens. And they completely just fell apart towards the end of the season. But what I do remember for Campbell last year, they were a horrible non-con team. And that's what made their run early in CAA play very surprising. Because I was looking at okay, this team lost to Evansville on the road. This team lost to Longwood and got blown out at home by Longwood. And they showed up in CAA play, and they were out there, beating William & Mary. They were beating Hosford twice. They were playing competitive games at UNC Wilmington. They didn't win those games, but you know what I mean, right? The CAA, I'm telling you, very unpredictable, very fun games all year long. The CAA is one of my favorite mid-majors to watch. That conference is very fun. And again, UNC Wilmington legitimately maybe like a 12 seed this year. Watch out. Probably going to be like a 13. But anyways, the Campbell Fighting Camels this season, 2-2. They beat WMU, the Western Michigan Broncos. They beat Mid-Atlantic Christian in their last game. First 2 games, though, played bye games, obviously, where they were the ones, getting bought. Is that how you put it? They went on the road, obviously, and split the gates with Wisconsin and West Virginia. Lost back-to-back, got blown out over in Madison, went to Morgantown, lost by 8 points to the West Virginia Mountaineers. It is what it is. West Virginia was really always in control in that game. For the most part, Camels made their runs, but, West Virginia won quite easily. Anyways, Weber State's a 1-3 basketball team, and I know what you might be thinking. We're going to take 3.5. We're going to take Weber State to cover 3.5, even though they haven't won a game yet. Yes, they played really good teams. Okay. For what Weber State is, they played very difficult games. They went to Utah, almost beat Utah. Okay. Now, I don't know what the hell the Utes are going to be this season. Okay. Utah is a team so far where they're 5-0, but they haven't beaten anybody. And we're not going to really know anything about Utah for a little bit. So I don't know what to say yet about the Utes. I believe, aren't they going to Hawaii? No, they're in the Palm Springs tournament. We'll see what happens to them. I need to get all my Fee Suite tournaments in line. I think, is Texas Tech going to Hawaii? Someone's going to Hawaii. I don't know. I know the tournaments are all in Florida, Bahamas, Hawaii, or California, or Vegas. So I'll figure it out next week. Anyways, we don't know anything about Utah, so I don't know what to say about that. But again, Utah's 5-0, and Weber State went in there, only lost the game by 3 points. Then they went to Utah State. They go to Logan, only lose the game by 10 points. And then they go to UCI, who I get it might not be as good as they were last season. We've already seen UCI this year lose to Cal Baptist, but so far they've won every single game otherwise. We'll see. Again, they go to Utah Valley tonight, and they're dogs. I'm going to stay away because I want a better read on UCI, and then I can reevaluate going forward. Anyways, though, Weber State went to UCI and only lost the game by 9 points. That was a very good team last year, obviously. That got second place, or I guess were the runners-up in the NIT, obviously losing it to Chattanooga. Weber State, though, again, they've been right there in every single game that they've played, and to a point, like, it's not like they're getting blown out. It's not like they're getting dominated. This team's got to break through eventually, and they got to win a basketball game. And now they're finally at home. They've only played one game all year long at home, and that was against Division II, West Coast. What is the West Coast Baptist Eagles? I don't know. Weber State beat them by 92 points? Yep, 92. Wow, West Coast shot 2 for 36 from beyond the arc. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Weber State beat West Coast Baptist 130-38. And that's the only game they played at home so far this season. So, I mean, you know, if you want to go off the numbers, they have a plus 92 point differential at home this season in one game. Come on now. They gave up less than 40 points at home in their first game. And I get it. They played a Division II or maybe even worse basketball team. But I think it's what they did on the road in that long road trip. Well, I mean, I assume they actually came back home when they played in between Utah and Utah State. They must have, obviously. But on that road trip, playing Utah State, playing UCI, and playing competitive games, that's good enough for me, honestly, out of the Wildcats. Trevor Henning so far has been the leading scorer of this team. He's averaging 16 points a night for the Wildcats. Sophomore out of Washington. Last season was a 7 points per game scorer last year for, again, Weber State, playing a lot better and getting more production this season. And then there's Jace Whiting as well. Whiting is a transfer from Boise. Then he went to UNLV last year, did not get any run. Now here at Weber State, he's putting together pretty good numbers. And as for the Camels right now, led in scoring by one man and one man only, DJ Smith. DJ Smith does all the scoring for them. He's averaging 22.5 points per game. DJ Smith is just one of these guys who have been around college basketball for forever. Started playing in 2021 with Little Rock, played 2 years there, played then at Bowling Green, and then went to Robert Morris last year, and now he's playing for the Fighting Camels. 5'11 point guard who does a lot of scoring. Other than that, though, there's really nothing else to be concerned with the Fighting Camels. Again, they'll probably go on their runs in the CAA this season, but I think on the road for Campbell, going cross-country to take on Weber State, kind of cross-country to take on Weber State, I think the Wildcats win. They are more than due for a victory, considering the way that they've been playing. They took Utah to OT, okay? And they, played competitive games at Logan, in Irvine. I think we're completely fine here for the Weber State Wildcats to win and cover the 3.5 points at home against the CAA's Campbell Fighting Camels. Folks, that'll do it for our college basketball best bets here on November 19th. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you did disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for more daily college basketball best bets. Folks, thank you all for watching, and Mamba forever.